This video was supposed to be a simple video showing how to add another radiator to your existing circuit. So for us it will be adding a second radiator or second radiator tails to the bay window area in the living room. But it's actually going to be a video showing what can go wrong when working with push fit connectors. From the off, I'm not blaming push fit connectors. I'm not saying I had a failure of the component. Just thought I'd get that out of the way before giving them a bad name. When used properly, they work great. So this video will show how it can go wrong with any pressurized system or with any sort of system, but specifically with push fit connectors in this case. As you'll see, it wasn't until the system was up to pressure that the problem revealed itself, and you'll see that in the video. So I'll just talk you through quickly why we're doing this and the basics of what we're actually going to be doing, and then we'll get stuck into the video. Rather than trying to explain what I'm doing while I'm under the floor, because you probably won't be able to see a lot, so I'll draw a quick diagram. So this is as it was before and how it was planned to be set up, so how we kept the pipes. So supply from the boiler coming in, feeding the radiator on the right hand side. Each radiator was connected top and bottom by two little short pipes, and then a return from the left hand side back to the boiler or back to the return manifold. Simple diagram and a simple circuit. What's changing this is this central radiator isn't going to be there. There's going to be a floor standing subwoofer and a central speaker mounted in this area. So we now need to get a hot water line or a supply line to this radiator here, and we also need to get a return line there. Obviously this is where that radiator, that second radiator was. Now it's just these two, so the left and the right. So the line comes in from the boiler and still feeds the first radiator. At this point here, there's currently an inline connection where the pipe was extended or where the pipes were joined. We're going to put a T-piece, remove the inline connection, put a T-piece in here and run it around to this point here, and then on the return leg, which is there, there's a 90-degree elbow. This drawing isn't quite how it's going to be, but on this 90-degree elbow we're going to replace it with a T-piece and send and run a pipe for this radiator here. So it's fairly simple what we're doing. We're running two extra lines in parallel, so each radiator is now independently. So we started off by isolating the boiler and then draining the central heating system. The point I'm draining it from is a location of another radiator in the living room, so I've just got the valve on the end of one of the tails, so it's convenient just for draining it into a bucket bit by bit. So this is the stuff I bought to do the extra sort of tails for the radiator. So I've got 25 meters of this 15mm barrier pipe, so it's the plastic push fit type pipe you can use. John Guest is the manufacturer. It was either getting a couple of metre long tails from Screwfix or by a coil. I thought I'll probably use it somewhere else, so I've got a 25 metre coil. Then all the connections I've got. So we've got a T-piece, so it should be 2 T-pieces, yeah, 2 T-pieces to go into the existing pipe, and take a spur off. The inserts that you need for doing these, this will prevent the tube from getting crushed, so they just go inside the tube. 2 elbows, there should be 2 anyway, there's 1. Just for the bottom of the tails. You can bend them, but we've had issues in the past with it being close to somewhere around here. There's not a huge amount for it to curl down there. It doesn't leave you a lot of room for manoeuvre, so put a neck screw on it, it solves that problem. So there's 1 elbow. There's the other one, 15mm. Pack of olives, I'm leaving some anyway, but also for now, just on the end of the pipes, we've got the compression fittings, so I've got the olives for those. I looked at getting the push fit compression, the push fit stoppers, sort of end stops, but you need the tool to get them back off. I'm pretty sure. Although to be honest, I've not actually used this type before. I don't know if you need a tool to remove them. No, you don't. Okay, so I could have got the push fit stoppers.
What about these? You using these as well? No.
No.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Reach. So this has been on the existing supply line. Hopefully you can see the inline connection that's currently there. Just remove the pipe insulation from the pipe. And then just crack in the connector with a couple of spanners and a shifter. And draining the residual water into a bucket. So while that's still draining, each end of this flexible pipe has an olive sort of compressed on it now, so rather than trying to remove it, I'm just cutting the ends of the pipes off. I know I should really have the flexible pipe cutters to do that, but I didn't have them, so a little hacksaw had to do the job. So with those all cut, put the inserts into each end of the pipe, and then offered up the push fit T-piece, pushed it in snugly, and then just tightened the collar up on it.
see that pipe.
So then we feeded the new pipe down. With the insert already in, so I didn't have to do it under the floor.
No, I'm good there.
And then pushed it into the other section of the T-piece.
Okay, first one done.
The whole team's here to welcome you back.
So we repeated that process for the other side. The camera ran out halfway, so there's no point in showing bits of it. The process was exactly the same. With that done, Andrea went under the floor this time to be in place for when we filled the system back up. So we gradually filled the system up, checking for leaks as we went.
Right, so I'll pressurise all the way and then I need to do a bit of bleeding. You still good there?
So I could hear the air and water slightly pushing out of the elbow at the bottom of that tailpiece, and as I touched it, the thing just blew out.
Oh.
So
Oh, fuck!
there was nothing I could have done with that. There's no point in me holding it. I needed to stop it, so all I could do was drain it from the other point in the living room as quick as I could.
Oh, fucking hell. You okay? Right, I think it blew. Yeah, it's totally blown out. The new pieces go in on the left hand side here. Oh, fucking hell.
So we ended up with about a bucket and a half of water
Fuck's sake.
under the floor. A lot of it was absorbed by the insulation that was there, so it was all soggy and needed replacing. Some of it just pooled up under the floor, and then about a bucket of it I managed to drain from the other radiator location.
Hello. Had fun. I'm surprised I don't actually feel like that.
So, a bit of a disaster day. Well, not the end of the world, but it definitely didn't go as smoothly as it should have done. Things that I found, or what I found quite interesting, was we were able to pressurise the system all the way up to 2 bar before we knew we had an issue. I checked every joint. I didn't show all in the video, but I checked every joint I could see, and Andrea checked all the ones below, all the way through, filling it up and pressurising it. That wasn't the first time I looked at it. So it shows that it can look seated properly. You can start to pressurise the system, and it's only when you get up to sort of normal operating pressure, right the way up, that the situation that it'll reveal itself that you've got an issue, that it isn't fully seated and it will blow. In the end, we just replaced, put a new insert in, made sure we seated it properly, tightened the collar up, and redid it, and there was absolutely no issues. So, simple mistake, but I'm surprised it didn't just start leaking straight away. But there we are. That's we've learned something, and hopefully it's useful for other people to know that it may not show itself straight away. I think it's definitely important if you plan on using push fits elsewhere, bring the system all the way up to its normal operating pressure, maybe even, I mean, you want to take it slightly over, just prove that you're not going to have issues down the line. Just move each pipe around a little bit, around each joint, just give it a little bit of a, just check that there's no air, give a listen, no air, no water coming out. Because you don't want those sort of things happening once you've put the floor down, or once you're further on, or you're in a finished room, once you've decorated, or whatever else. So check them as soon as you can, and check them at full pressure. So there we are, we've definitely learned something there. With that job done now, we can get the floor back down, sort the insulation out, we're going to replace that wet insulation, put the floor back down, rebuild the stud wall around the window, and then get back on track to where we were with getting ready to put plasterboard up and get that room finished. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.